Hello guys, my little video here. First want to say hi. Hi. These are the overalls I like to use just to keep the insulation off me, and this is the brand. Okay, tools you will need. You're gonna need a paintbrush, air duct sealant, also known as pookie, a pair of wire cutters to cut wire. I like some pliers, any kind of knife. I prefer this one for air ducts. Then you're gonna need air duct tape. Just make sure it's labeled for air ducts and insulation. It'll be printed on the tape. You have to use this one with the red printing on it. Do not use anything else, and make sure it has that label. Air conditioner, okay? And you're also gonna need a package of zip ties for the air ducts. Okay, now these zip ties are probably like 3 or 4 feet long, I'm not sure, but that's about how long they are. Okay, they come in a package of 20, so get that. You're going to need some measuring tape and some spray bond adhesive. So now you need to determine what type of or what size of air duct do you need. Okay, so this is how you determine the size. You're going to take the diameter of the connection where it goes. Okay, this one is 5 inches. So when you go to the store and you purchase one, you're gonna look for a 5-inch diameter. See where it says 5 inches right there? This is the brand. This is the type of air duct that we use. It's the R6 because it comes insulated already. Okay, here we go, 5 inches. This comes pre-insulated for you, so you don't really have to do much other than attach it on. Another way to find out what size of air duct you have to buy is by measuring the air duct itself, and you're gonna measure the inside part. I'm going to take my measure tape, and it's going to be the same way. You're going to measure the diameter of the black tubing. So mine is 5 inches. Remember, the one in your home is going to be a different size. So once you cut it, you'll determine what size you need for that specific tubing. So make sure that you match that when you go to the store. They come in different diameters. I mean, see back here in Iconics, I mean, we have an 18-inch, we have a 9-inch. So it all depends, 12-inch. It all depends on what hose you're replacing. And you gotta replace one for one. So if you're taking off a 6-inch, you gotta put a 6-inch back on. Okay, because remember the air pressure was already calculated for you. Otherwise you're gonna have to pay money to have somebody to do it for you. So when they ask you what size you need, you're gonna give them the size of your diameter. The length don't really matter. Each bag comes in preset length. You're gonna cut the length you need when you get to the house, okay? And this is the type that we use here at work, this brand. So let's go ahead and talk about installing it onto the tubing. So you're gonna grab your hose that you just bought from your store. Don't pull all of it out of the bag, all right? Because the first thing you want to do is measure how much you need from this end all the way into the other end you're taking it to. So let's say you need 10 feet. What you're gonna do is you're gonna pull out 10 feet from the bag and cut it, okay? It's very important that you don't overstretch it. So just pull it out and let it sit naturally, okay? And then you're gonna go ahead and cut. Here you go, so you're cutting the hose. Once you get to the tubing here, just gonna keep cutting around it. Also, I like to wear gloves too. But right now, it's okay because I'm just gonna wash my hands and I'm gonna be getting stuff on me, okay? Be careful not to cut yourself. So once you get to the tubing here, you do the same thing. You're going to cut the tubing with the knife. Once you go all the way around. So the tubing has a metal wire that swirls around on the inside. So you got to cut that metal wire once you get to it. You use the wire cutters to cut that off. Because they work pretty well. And you cut that off, and then that's how you detach your part. Okay, and then keep cutting it. Okay, so let's go over attaching a hose, a full hose to one of your tubes. Okay, so the connections from one end to the other. Let's say you're replacing the whole air duct. Okay, if you're replacing the whole air duct, this is what the outlet will more likely look like. This box right here will be it'll be silver or aluminum, so I just use this box here for practice. Okay, all right, so first thing you want to do is make sure you have a clean cut on your hose, which I kind of do. I'm going to take this excess here and just kind of toss it to the side. All right, so on your hose, you're going to pull out the gut, which is the actual hose for the air duct. You're going to pull it out about 4 or 5 inches, about that much, okay, from the inside. Then you're going to grab the outer layer and you're going to fold it over the insulation. Just aluminum stop inwards, so you can kind of hide the insulation. It's like something like a lip. Basically, you're gonna fold that, you're folding it in place. All right, so it should look something like this before you start. Okay, notice all the pink is hitting. Okay, that's gonna help you. That's gonna help reduce condensation when we attach it. Now, when you attach it to the sleeve has a ridge right here. So you want to make sure that when you tie that zip tie, you're past that. You tie the zip tie, you pass that ridge. Okay, so if it does start to slide off because of the air pressure, that ridge will stop the zip tie from going. Okay. All right. First thing you're gonna do is you're gonna slide your tubing into the slot, and you want to put it in as far back as you can so it touches the back. Similar to that. Okay. Then we're gonna put that zip tie right here. Okay. Now this is where the pliers become optional. If you want to use the pliers, you can. Let's say it's a little tight space and you can't get to it, you can pull it with the pliers, and like, just gotta make sure that zip tie is super tight. So once again, we just want to make sure we're past that little lip. Okay. No matter where you put it, as long as we pass that lip. All right. So I'm gonna pull in it. I like to use my pliers here. There's actually a tool for this. I just don't have it. I don't have any for it. Pull it as fast as you can. Okay. You can use pliers for that or to pry it down, however you want. Now the zip tie is tight and this is not sliding anywhere. Okay, you're gonna use your wire cutters and you're gonna cut the excess zip tie. So the closer you cut it to the edge, the better. Okay, then you're gonna slide your insulation in. Now the insulation, make sure that it touches the wall when you push it up. Same thing, push it all the way up. Make sure you have a little extra. Okay, you know, push it all the way up. Then you're gonna zip tie it in place. Same way, you're just gonna run that zip tie. Try to put it in the same spot as the last one. So we can be past that ridge, but at this point, as long as you're on the metal, it won't matter. Okay. So once again, we're gonna put it on as tight as we can. Okay. You can use the pliers if you want, but I know this is pretty tight and it's gonna stay. All right. So now we're going to use spray glue and tape to cover that gap to reduce condensation. It would make sense to use spray bond, so I can use my aluminum tape. Okay. Once again, it's graded for air duct and connections. Okay. I'm gonna spray some on the insulation and some on the box so the tape can adhere itself. And I'm gonna go all the way around. Okay, you don't have to go too crazy with it because you do have to let that spray sit for a second so it can. So next, I'll grab the aluminum tape. Best if you use small sections, so about that big, and you start placing it on the gap like so. Okay, really easy. On the gap. Just make sure that you go all the way around with the tape. Don't miss any gaps and go underneath it as well. Your pookie and your brush come in play. So the pookie is duct sealant. This is the duct sealant. This is my brush. So after I open that duct sealant, what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick that brush inside and get some duct sealant on it. Then I'm going to cover all of that tape with duct sealant. Okay? That's going to make this tape permanent. Once it dries, it's going to dry like a cast. You have to be sure that you go all the way around and underneath it as well to prevent any condensation. So now you know how to attach a hose properly. Okay. Alright, so let's talk about removing one of the connections from one end. Okay, so this is my little makeshift. That box is normally, you know, aluminum or duct board, which is a silver or aluminum as well. Okay, so I just put it on there to simulate in a box. Alright, so I put the pookie on here. The pookie is not dry. I just wanted to simulate what it would look like if somebody properly did it and it was sealed properly. Okay, but that pookie there will be dry, kind of like a cast. All right, you're gonna take a little knife and just cut a little slit. Make sure not to cut the box. You can cut the air duct because you're gonna take it off, but don't cut the box. You just cut a little slit, stick your finger on it, and then pull that tape off. Once again, without damaging the box. Okay, so if you gotta pry the tape off or just cut close to the box and just score it off, then go ahead and score the tape off, but otherwise you just pull off just like this. Okay, And I'm just going to use wire cutters to cut the zip tie. Okay. Alright, when you pull on the insulation, make sure you don't pull on the actual sleeve that's connected to the box, because if you pull it off, you have to repair that too. Okay, so be gentle that you don't pull, and then just cut that zip tie off, remove the zip tie, and then once you do that, then you're gonna pull back on the insulation, and you're gonna expose that black tube, which is gonna have another zip tie. And you're gonna cut that zip tie right there, and then you're gonna pull back the tube. Okay, and that is how you remove the ends of the hose of your air duct, so you can replace it. So let's say on your air duct right here, the mouse tore this up, and he cut a hole on the black part. So now you have to repair this section. The only way to repair this section is to, you're gonna chop here, and then you're gonna chop here, and remove this part, and then you're gonna connect these two ends together. Okay. All right. So we're gonna go ahead and chop these two sides up. All right. So we're gonna cut here with an X-Acto knife, and then we're gonna cut here and remove this section. So I'm gonna cut both sides. Just remember that you have to cut that metal wire too with wire cutters. I just removed the section with the hole. Here's the section with the hole. I just removed it. So now what I'm going to do is, once I cut the air duct open, I'm going to take my measuring tape, and it's going to be the same way. You're going to measure the diameter of the black tubing. So mine is 5 inches. So you have to purchase a 5-inch metal connector. So I don't have a metal connector, but we're going to use this tubing to pretend it's a metal connector. I'm going to call it a sleeve for now. Okay, which is fine. I'm going to show you what they are on the video. All right, so we're going to use the sleeve here, and we're going to attach both ends of the hoses that we just cut. Remember, first thing we do, we're going to prep the hose again. We're going to pull out a few inches. If that happens, that's okay. Let's go ahead and cut that off. Just like so. We're going to pull out so we have a few inches exposed of the hose, and then we're going to wrap this inside the insulation. So see? So it should look something like that wrapped in. So we're going to go ahead and insert one air duct into one side. So we're going to slide in the tubing. Remember that little groove? Just got to make sure you go past that groove. This little connector here doesn't have it because I'm simulating. But the groove, remember that little groove like that? So you're going to go past that groove, and then you're going to zip tie it after the groove, so that way the zip tie can't slide off. Okay. Go ahead and zip tie. I have one already pre-made, like I spoke of. We're going to zip tie it. Pull the zip tie as tight as possible. You can use the pliers to help you pull it tighter. Okay. But you're not going to do the insulation yet. You're just going to zip tie one side. Okay, then you're going to cut it. Got it? Then you're going to take the other side that you're putting together, and you're going to pull it over. Now it's important, this is very important right here, that the guide didn't cover, is that when you put this together, you're going to overlap this tubing with that tubing. So it covers that zip tie because you want to go over the ridge. Yeah? So let's say the ridge is right here. Let's say the ridge is right here. The zip tie is after the ridge. So the ridge holds the zip tie in place. You can't go that way, right? Because my finger's the ridge. So the zip tie can't go that way. So now I'm going to overlap the other part of the hose after I remove that section. I'm going to overlap over that zip tie and that ridge. So we're going to pull it up and go over that section I just put on there. Make sure you cover all of it. Go over it completely. You just want to go about an inch or two. Doesn't matter. Got to go over it. I'm going to go over that whole part there, okay? And then you're going to zip tie next to the other zip tie. Okay, then you're going to zip tie it over the other one. So just a second zip tie. And you're going to zip tie over it right here, like that. So let me show you. Remember, the tubing that's going that way, it has the ridges here, so my zip tie is going to be over the ridge and it's holding the tubing over the other side, okay? So one zip tie for one tube, another zip tie for the other tube. I got a zip tie here and a zip tie here. Once again, use pliers to help you pull it tighter. And it ridges in the middle. Okay, now I'm gonna cut that off as well. Alright, so now you're going to attach the insulation together. Okay, so in order to do that, you're gonna pull your insulation over, and you're going to try to do the same thing. Try to put one over the other one. Okay, so all I'm doing is sliding one in under the other one. Doesn't matter which one goes on top and bottom. And once you slide one into the other, you're gonna fit one into the other. Then you're gonna zip tie that portion to make sure that you're still on the connector, on that metal connector. Okay, because you're gonna use a connector to have leverage on your zip tie. So you're gonna zip tie on top of that, just like so. So remember, you overlap. So when you zip tie, it's gonna hold the overlap. Okay, just like so. Put it in real tight. Now you have a full seal. Okay, and then cut that up as well. You don't want any zip ties because it can be hazardous for you as you move around. But anyways, it just looks better, you know, with the zip tie done. So just like that. So remember, we remove this section from here. I'm gonna pretend that this hose continues on 4. Okay, so we remove the section where the mouse ate. We cut here and cut here and took this off, and then we attached it together here. Okay, and just like this. So now we're gonna use spray glue and spray all the way around where the connection is. Make sure that you go all the way around, and then we're gonna use our aluminum tape and then just cover that little slit on there. Make sure you cover all the way around. Okay, so just run one piece of tape all the way around, and with the glue, it's just gonna cover all those gaps for you. And just like that, you repair a hole that was chewed all the way through the hose. Okay, so let's say if the damage was only on the insulation, there's a possibility you can just tape the insulation together. So you just overlap it, use some zip ties and tape it, and that way you can re-insulate it. But in this case, the mouse ate through, so we had to remove a section.